Welcome back to another installment of At the Dinner Table with Sunday Dinner Music Group. In this episode, we're talking about none other than the bag. Yes, the money, the green, the moolah. As an artist, it shouldn't be a controversial statement that you should get paid for your work and you should get paid for your time. But money can be a bit of a touchy subject, especially when most people make art because they love it, not because they're trying to get rich quick. In the episode, we break down some of the strategies that we've used as freelance creators and as a music business to create value and get paid for our work. We also talk about the prospect of going full-time and supporting yourself exclusively off your art and why that sometimes actually leads to bad art. If you're a freelance creator or if you're on the fence about turning your art into a career or side hustle, then this is the episode for you. We hope you enjoy. What's going on, everybody? We are Sunday Dinner Music Group, back with another episode of At the Dinner Table. Today, we're talking about getting paid for your art. Woo!
Great episode.
We
This
need
one's
a
for all
fucking-
the indie artists.
We need a clap machine.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Jamie, can we get a clap?
Jamie. So yeah, this is like, I feel like maybe a taboo subject for a lot of artists.
Why do you think so?
I just feel like most people are in the art business because they love it and because they enjoy making art, not because they're trying to be millionaires.
Yeah.
And I feel like usually when you're making art with people, like there's a dynamic in the room, and I don't know, I feel like money talk is usually not conducive to the dynamic that you usually want when you're making art.
Totally agree.
So it can be a bit of a weird subject and like a touchy subject, but you should be getting paid for your work and for your
100%.
time.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about like our experiences with getting paid for our art, how we like to go about that, and then some other talking points just regarding like financially supporting yourself as an artist. So let's get in. Do you want to start with this first question?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, Nick, why is Joe not here?
So Joe, yeah, right. You might notice that one of the young, handsome Italian men is missing from this episode, and that would be Joe. And the reason is because Joe is right now in Florida playing, is it Jersey Boys?
It's Joyzy Boys.
Jersey Boys. He's playing drums for the show Joyzy Boys, making his bag.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good money.
Yeah.
Worth it money to go to Florida.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So Joe's making a bag, and that honestly kind of prompted us to make this episode and talk about making money and how being an artist and like making money are hard things sometimes.
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah, and Joe had to do what he had to do. You know what I mean? It was a tough situation. It was a tough decision for him. Because he misses us, you know what I mean? And even though we have space on this futon,
Oh my God. Yo. Sorry.
What the fuck is going on here?
Whoopsies.
even though we have space on this futon, we miss Joe dearly.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have less space, you know what I mean?
Same.
But anyway, so Joe went down to play Jersey Boys, and it was mainly one of those decisions, I believe, that was financially sort of, he was prioritizing his financial situation right now, right? As we've all had to do, you know what I mean? I mean,
Absolutely.
we all make these like little compromises, whether they're big or small. So let me start by saying this. I made a huge compromise about a year ago now to my whole entire art process thing. And basically what I did was I was like, let me try to take like a full-time job and also be a student at the same time and then also make music and release it and then also, you know, form Sunday Dinner into a record label with these guys. And looking back from a reflective point of view, I have to say, don't do it. Don't do it.
What should you have done differently?
I just, any one thing, you know what I mean? Like if I was going to do the full-time job, dedicate
Right.
fully to the job.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because then, you know what I had at the end of every day was like a little bit of regret. Like I had a little bit of just like, oh man, I didn't get to that today. You know what I mean? I didn't check off the big 3 boxes, you know?
Definitely.
And I feel like you felt that too a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's necessary though. You have to take care of your finances. And I mean, obviously, like I don't regret the experience as a whole, but if you're an indie artist and you're thinking about how much time can I allot to making money, or you know, do I take the part-time job? I have to say, and we'll disagree here, but I have to say, you take the part-time job and cut yourself off at like 25, 30 hours a week. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, I guess it's whatever amount of time you feel like you can still dedicate what you want to dedicate to your art.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
And then obviously you have to be able to support yourself and live. And I feel like, I don't know, I guess if you are truly devoted to being an artist, there might be an issue when more of your time is going towards something else.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like, but at the same time, like, to not be like naive about it, like, you got to pay rent. You gotta feed yourself at the end of the day. And I think that's the big dilemma as an artist. And I guess everyone's real ultimate goal is, how do I let my art support me? You know what I'm saying? Because it feels like for the majority of the beginning of your artist career, it's actually about you supporting your art. You know what I mean? Like, I need to make money. I need to do all this so that I can make art and also live at the same time.
Yeah.
So like, I guess one of the first things, and this is question number 2, and one of the first things you have to do is you have to say, all right, I need to start getting paid for my art. I need to get paid for the time that I put into this art. Now, this is something that was very interesting and like kind of not awkward, but like it was a weird phase for me when I was coming up. At what point do you realize, or not what point do you realize, but what point do you feel comfortable charging for your services as an artist or as a producer, say?
Yeah, that's a hard question.
It's a difficult question.
Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, that's tough because like, one, you have to have sort of a portfolio
For sure.
and like a proof of concept that you're good at what you do.
So you have to do a lot of work for free before you can get to the point where you're charging for it.
Yeah, I think so. And I think like that point where you start charging, that's like completely up to you. Like whenever you think you're good enough for that, and that could stray. The people who you're working for free for, it could like get them out of the door.
Right. That's
and
a weird point of
lose,
contingency for sure.
Yeah, you'll lose some people, but the people who really believe in you will start paying for your services,
Yeah.
and then
we'll
you'll get
also-
new clients too.
Yes, exactly.
To your thing, but
and they'll acknowledge that your time is worth money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like but that's always an awkward conversation.
yeah,
We haven't had to have too many of those conversations, I feel like,
Definitely.
which I'm thankful for sure.
At what point did you start knowing that you could charge for what you make? Do you remember?
I really don't. It was like when I was more involved with you guys, I feel like I could start like charging for stuff like that. And my dad always pushed for it too. He was like, "Oh, you
I feel like your parents are always the ones that like push for that. Yeah,
you got to get paid, blah blah blah."
Yeah,
but yeah, it was probably the past year I started like becoming more confident and proving to myself that it's worth a monetary amount.
Yeah,
You know, not just free work all the time.
definitely. I ran into a weird experience with free work lately. Just to really cover all the bases of this question, because I was like, okay, yeah, let me start by giving the work away for free.
Right.
It'll be the proof of concept, and then all of a sudden they'll just trust me, right? And then they can just start paying me. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. And I found that out the hard way because I was giving away, like in my case, a production for free. And the reason why it didn't work was because when you value your work at free, it's worth nothing to anybody. And that's unfortunate, but it would even be better to value your work at $10 than free.
Wow, interesting.
And that's a crazy concept that I had to realize because when you value your work at free, everyone else does.
Sure.
It won't mean anything to anybody.
Right, because you're setting your own value basically.
Exactly.
And like you can't really like convince somebody that you're worth more than what you think you're worth. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, bro.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
So you have to know what you're worth.
definitely.
That's why it's in the responsibility of you as an artist to understand your worth and understand what you're good at too, right? There are certain things I wouldn't charge for.
Sure.
You know what I mean? If I'm
Sure.
helping somebody out, like tracking vocals or guitar, I'm not going to charge for that. I feel like I know enough about it to do it, but not enough to, be valued as like a profession.
And like, what's the point where you're like, oh yeah, like now I should start getting paid for this kind of work?
I feel like it's when I can do it better than 90% of the people around me.
Oh, so okay, cool. So you're almost like using it as like a metric, where you're like, if Right, because it's a demand for you specifically,
yes.
for your craft, right?
Right.
If I'm better than 90% of the people, there's actually a demand for this person to hire me because I can do this really well.
Yeah.
But then like, I feel like so much of what we do as artists is about not comparing ourselves to others and stuff like that, because that can be like kind of a dangerous
Definitely
thing to involve yourself in. So like, how do you do that in like a safe way? How do you say I'm better than 90% of the people, even though what we're doing is completely subjective?
That's a hard ass question.
Yeah, it
dude.
is. I don't know if I have the answer to it either, and I think that's kind of the root of this whole episode. This whole
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I can see that. I mean, first thing that you have to gauge off of, and this is not always reliable, but like audience reaction
Sure.
is a part of it, right?
Sure.
It could be a part of it. Like, let's say, just for example, like I spent some time on a video and I posted it and it got like exponentially more views than the rest of the things on my YouTube page. I mean, that starts my reputation.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
This is what I'm good
Reputation,
at,
right.
and there's an audience reaction to
Yeah.
prove it. Also, I think just history too. You feel what I'm saying? Like if you start in like a small network and somebody will pay you $50 for a production, that's your new standard. That's your new base rate, $50, because the value is determined by, number one, you knowing what you're worth, and also by the people around you naming the price that you're worth.
Sure. Yeah, no, I agree. I think proof of concept through like an audience reaction is a really strong metric, and like can be misused sometimes too, because I feel like a lot of the times like people will be like, oh, like this producer has X amount of streams.
Yes.
So, if I want those streams, I have to hire this producer, which is just not true. But
It's not true, but it's definitely deceptive and it's definitely effective.
It is for sure, but I think it's more effective to me if I'm in the position where I'm hiring a producer, or if I am the producer being hired. Like, I'm only telling you that I have this amount of streams credited because I want you to know, not that I bring in streams every single time I produce something, but it's because I have experience. I have enough experience to garnish this amount of attention around my work. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's my answer to this question. Like, I know that I'm ready to start charging for something when I can reliably and consistently reproduce a high quality product that meets somebody's standards every single time. You know what I mean?
So then what if your standards for high quality don't align with the customers?
As in they're higher or lower?
As in like your standards are much higher.
Okay, that's an interesting. Yeah, and this can happen for sure.
Just because that's realistic. We both run into that before.
Absolutely, all the time.
Yeah.
I think that like ultimately, if you're in a mature and well-rounded collaboration that you're being paid for, because even if you're being hired, you're still collaborating, right? And both you and the person that are hiring you should be trying to make the song the best thing possible, right? And like sometimes it just ends up being that you're going to satisfy the person that hired you, right? And that's like the only goal in mind. So I feel like I'm always going to try to make an effort to make the song the best version it can be with the person who's hiring me, even if I think it could be better than what they're accepting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like in that situation, at the end of the day, that the artist is the final word. You know what I'm saying? And they're paying me to do something, and I should do it the way they want it to be. But I will, of course, try to inject my own, because you're not hiring me because I can make cool drums or because I can do this. You're hiring me for my taste. You're hiring me for my ability to bring the song to the version of it that I can be. That's, you know, or that it could be.
And your opinion.
And
too.
my opinion. You're hiring me for my opinion. Who said that?
Jetter said that.
Jetter said that, and Willie Green said that too.
Yes.
I remember being super like that kind of made a lot of sense to me, because it's like, right, like he said that exact thing. He was like people are not hiring me because my drums knock. Like, sure, my drums knock. He goes, but they're hiring me for my opinion. And like, if they're hiring you, don't be afraid to voice your opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the end of the day, you do want to satisfy the client. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
yes.
Truth.
So yeah, that was a really long way to say that, but that's a great question.
No, but that makes sense though.
Yeah.
That makes sense
Yeah,
to me.
it's your opinion, right? And it's that's the crux of really who you are as an artist. It's your perspective, your unique perspective.
Right. And so what else is your opinion and your perspective based off of other than experience? Right.
Experience and taste. Right.
Yeah.
And that's also completely irreplaceable too. Like your unique perspective as an artist, you can't get that from anyone else.
Right. But it's your job to hone that in as an artist.
Of course.
Like the same way, I'll just liken this to like a corporate thing.
Okay.
Right. If we have a business for dishwashers, right? And we're like, okay, we can't just make the same exact dishwasher with the same parts as every other dishwasher, right?
Mhm.
There needs to be a reason that you come to Sunday Dinner Music Group to buy a dishwasher. Right. I don't know if there would ever be, but like, you know, yeah, but that's the point, right? Our music needs to be informed by our taste, by our experience, by our 100 million hours that we put into our craft, right? So, okay, we're getting into interesting territory. I want to dig more into how we're kind of like how we're working at our specific level in the industry, because I feel like a lot of our friends are like working at the same level. You know what I mean? Where like maybe we're allowed to charge $50 for a master right now.
Right.
Maybe we're making $200 off of a mix or something like that.
Right.
What strategies have you guys seen work at our level? What strategies have you guys seen that have flaws in them at our level?
I think are you saying when it comes to pricing things?
Yeah, when it comes to pricing, when it comes to basically any point throughout the process of selling your work.
Yeah, I feel like a really like important aspect of how you're going to charge and how you're going to get to the number that you're charging is also like in the budget of the person that's hiring you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like my rate, I always think of it as like more of a, obviously I'm going to calculate the amount of time I think estimated it's going to take me. I'm not going to charge by the hour. I really don't believe in hourly rate for artists because
why not?
Because it basically encourages you to spend more time on the project. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As the person who's being hired, because I want to get more money. And as the person who is hiring me, it encourages, or they want to encourage me to get it done faster so that they don't have to pay as much. And I just don't think that's conducive to the art. Like I think let's have a general flat rate amount of time that we think this is going to take, and give or take more or less.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We'll do that, but our main intention is to make it as good as it can be. You know what I mean?
That's okay. That's definitely the artist mindset. That's the art first mindset.
I think,
right?
and I think that's smart. And it usually there's less room for like disagreements when you do it that way, because the artist who hires you knows exactly what they're getting off jump. They're like, okay, this is the flat rate. They're not going to drag this out, and I'm going to have to owe them like way more than I expected to whatever. But so that's usually where I start, and that flat rate is the time I think it's going to take, and then also like the percentage of the budget that the artist has, if that makes sense. Like if I'm
like the amount of money they're able to pay you.
Right.
Basically.
So if it's an indie artist who's like self-funding everything, I'm not going to charge them $100 an hour, or like, you know, what would be the equivalent of $100 an hour.
Right.
But if they're backed by a label with, you know, millions of dollars behind them and a huge advance, like, dude, I'll charge what I really want to be getting.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
So I think you can't just charge like indie artists like an absurd amount of money.
No, you
know
can't.
What I'm saying?
You can't. How much you get paid for your work is codependent upon a bunch of different factors.
Right.
First thing being, like we were just saying, the budget of the artist. I think how much you believe that you're worth.
Mm-hmm.
What else did we say?
Oh, and then the amount of time that you think that the project is going to take.
The amount of time that goes into the project. Yeah.
So yeah, my advice would be figure out for a specific service. Say I'm a mixer, or say I'm a film editor, or just to broaden it beyond just music. Yeah. Or say I'm a photographer, right? Like figure out a rough idea of how much per hour you think you're worth, and then when you take on a new project, based on your experience, just kind of sum up how many hours you think that's going to take you, and then let that be your flat rate. And then also take into consideration who's hiring you. What is the budget of this project? Yeah. And what is fair to this person? You know what I'm saying?
Facts. Cool. I like where this is going. I want to go even more basic though.
Oh, more basic than that. Okay.
No, because like when I say basic, I don't mean like simple. I mean more like accessible, right?
Okay.
Speak to the people who like literally have never gotten work yet.
Okay.
And they're looking to start getting work, right? So So essentially where like we all kind of were maybe like a year ago, you know what I mean? We were starting like our production deal, like outreach and all this stuff. So Vinny and I used to literally sit on his laptop for like 3-4 hours at a time and just do artist outreach and try to find artists in our genre who, make music like us, who are performing frequently. And we would go to shows to meet the artists. And we did that for a couple months straight, right? But that didn't work. We'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
But I mean, it kind of worked. We got a couple collabs.
Isn't that how the Sophie Said stuff?
That's
came
how
to
we met
fruition?
Sophie Said. Yeah,
That's definitely, I would say, worthwhile.
Yeah. No, that was extremely worthwhile. It's just that like I guess if we put in like 100% of our resources towards it, I think we probably got back about 10%.
Yeah.
You know,
Especially like the recent one.
That's the life of a salesman, though.
I guess it is.
You know?
Yeah, I guess it is.
Right.
So speaking to the person who just honed in their craft, right? They just figured out that their work is worth money. And now they need to go find people to do this. Like what is our advice to that person?
Just put yourself out there.
Yeah.
I would
How
say.
so?
You could like social media, like putting content around like your services.
That's cool.
That's a good way to do it.
That's really cool.
And that's like after you've exhausted your circle of people that you work with. Right. And then I guess like DMing people. That's like okay, but just I feel like if you just put yourself out there, the work will just come after that. Pause.
No, it's true. And like this is kind of interesting because we talk about like portfolio, right? You want to have like a nice portfolio to back you up. You want to have experience, right? But I think a lot of up and coming artists who are looking to charge for their work kind of get stuck in the phase of just like building their portfolio. And I feel like there's never going to be a point where your portfolio is like done and like ready. So I would say when you are comfortable, then just go for it. Like, don't worry if you haven't like enough songs in your portfolio where it's like enough to like get somebody to hire you. Just go for it. You know what I mean?
True.
And also start in your immediate circle too.
Yeah.
That's like you have so much more potential to build lasting relationships with people and create great stuff, and also get the sale if it's somebody that already knows you. You know what I'm saying? Because cold DMing can be kind of hard unless you have, like
unless your portfolio is like 11 out of 10.
Exactly. And even then, there's not even a guarantee that someone's going to check out your music.
There's not. DMing is literally just not like the most effective way. It's more that salesman sort of approach to it.
Yeah.
Where like you put in like 100% and you get 10 back. But
yeah, it's kind of ass.
It is rough. It is rough. Like it's interesting though, because like spending a lot of time in your inner circle is so crucial for like the beginning of the process.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
as you sort of grow as an artist, like it's like at which point do you stop working with the people you've been working with, exclusively,
Yeah.
I think I've experienced this a little bit here and there, and I think like your time is the most important asset to you as an indie artist, as a producer.
It's the only non-refundable like resource that you have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And right now it's the resource that we are not necessarily rich in. Do you know what I mean? Time. Yeah. I've noticed that like as time is continuing, the four of us actually have more commitments and more things we want to be doing and more potential ways to make money, more potential collaborations, ways to make better art. And it's just really, really tough to balance time. You know what I mean? I think it's a lot easier to save money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for
Just
sure.
throw money away in a bank account and leave it there.
One might say that your time also gets more valuable when you have less of it. Like if you're like, I think the reason why a lot of the most, skilled people in our profession or in art are charging so much for their time is because they have none of it.
That's
right?
it.
Like they're so good, they're needed in so many different places, and they really need, like, a lot of people are hiring them, so like they don't have a bunch of time. So that's why like somebody like Chris Geringer can charge $225 for a master that took him 30 minutes because he literally did 20 masters that day.
Right.
Well, people say if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person.
Right.
Because they'll get it done.
That's 100% true. I love that.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like at the surface, it's like contradicting, but it's like, no, they're busy for a reason because
Yeah.
they're getting shit done.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
forward momentum usually. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's a beautiful thing. Yeah. So, okay, if you're starting out, you're looking for work. I think the big takeaway here is put yourself out there on
Yeah.
social media.
Yep.
Work inside of your network right now, no
Mhm.
matter how big, no matter how small. There's so many Discord servers that you can hop in. The Kenny Beats one is my
I
favorite
love
one.
that
Mhm.
one. Yeah.
And you can literally just like link up with a bunch of beat makers just like you,
Mhm.
who are trying to accomplish the same things. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And it's a lot easier if we're all kind of learning from each other. You
For
know
sure,
what I mean?
For sure.
And I think we've been lucky to strike gold with that. I feel like I learn from you guys all the fucking
Oh
time.
yeah, that's the great part about having a community of people that do the same thing. And that's another word of advice I would give to up and coming artists trying to get paid. Like, find people who do what you do and and talk about your shit and show them your art. And I don't know, even if they're not necessarily in the same medium of art as you, I just feel like getting perspective and learning how other people do things is really important.
Facts.
I will say with the idea of content and social media in regards to getting paid for your art, I think it's generally more effective to not approach social media as like a sales pitch. Like don't be like, hey, like you can hire me and I'll do this. Like, don't even mention that. I feel like the most effective way is to just show your art in a really interesting way, or make content around your art that's captivating.
Yeah.
And then that's going to create a demand for that service. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are going to be like, oh, I really like the way this art makes me feel. I would love to tap into this feeling and to this artist's unique perspective. What can I do to get this from you? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like I've gotten a couple of like people who have approached me, like a couple of deals where it's literally from like music that they've heard me release on Spotify, where they're like, oh, like, do you charge or do you produce for other people and stuff like that? You
Facts.
know, I'm not out here like, yo, I produce for other people. It's more
Yeah.
like, this is my shit and people fuck with it and they want to tap into that world.
Yes.
So like, do you know, we talked about him on the Andrew episode. What the fuck is his name? The Nashville guy who, he's on TikTok he's bald. He's got a podcast.
Nashville guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, whatever his name is, like he's a producer.
Oh, on TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh, Shane
Gillies?
Lance. No, Shane Lance.
Shane Lance, I think
Shane
is
Lance.
the name.
Shane
yeah.
Lance.
Yeah.
I love him because
From
like
Seattle, I think.
I thought he was Nashville.
No.
Oh shit. But
You're close.
what do you call it?
Couple states over.
He posts like on TikTok and he just shares his opinions on music making. Like, and he'll post tutorials. He'll like be like, oh, this is how I feel about this thing. This is how I feel about this recording technique, whatever. And I'm like, oh, this guy's really interesting. Like whatever. And then I like go to the link on his TikTok and it's to his website where it's like, oh, do you want to work with me? Like, let me know what the project is, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it clicked for me instantly. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like this guy's not just out here like sharing his fucking like the way he thinks about art for free just for no reason. Like the whole idea is he's trying to like show you and sell you that maybe you should hire him for your project. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Without-
If you align
without
with the
saying
way
it.
he thinks.
Yeah, without blatantly
It's
saying
subliminal,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Well, it's marketing, right? It's the same way that
Yeah.
you walk into like a shopping mall and you see like brochures, right, for the perfume and they smell really, really good.
Right.
That's your 15 seconds of like exposure to the product,
Yes.
and you get a little taste. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's important for every consumer.
Exactly. But somehow it feels less effective to me when like all right, Christmas shopping this year, like you go into a fucking store and like you just get swarmed by salespeople trying to sell you shit. And
Well,
like,
yeah, that's because all the products are the same, basically.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that
That's what
turns
makes
me
art
off.
different than. Well, that's what makes art different than like anything in the corporate world or anything that's being like any product that's being sold.
no, it for sure. But my point more is that like when you're trying to sell yourself as an artist, it's probably less effective to like just be so like direct with what you're trying to sell. You know what I'm saying? Like it's more effective to
Yeah.
let the product speak for itself than it is to be like, yo,
Yeah.
buy my fucking thing. You know
No,
what I
for
mean?
sure,
I
for
agree.
sure. But I'm more talking about the exposure of the art. It needs to be accessible to the people for them to be excited to be a part of it. You know what I mean? Or hire you to do anything. You know what I mean? And they need to be able to see it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with like the brochure. That's the reason why I was bringing that up.
Got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to smell the perfume before you buy it.
Right. Like, yes, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting point. I feel like we're getting at like what I want to say, which is no matter what, when it comes down to money in music, when it comes down to basically any question that you might have, I've been finding that the answer lately is just make the best art of your life.
It all comes down to that in the end, man.
Yeah.
There's no other answer.
There's no other
solution.
answer.
No other solution. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
prioritize
I
that. And that's kind of where we're at as a collective right
Yeah.
now. You know what I mean?
And now that we figured that out, though, like all the processes have changed. Do you know what I mean? It's not about making money. The money will come if the art is good enough.
Sure.
The same way that, you know, Gucci can sell like a bag and be like, okay, like people are gonna buy this bag because it's Gucci. You know what I mean? People are gonna hire this photographer because they're that photographer and they coined that style. You know what I mean? And if you're not working on your art every day, then the product isn't getting better. That's the most important part.
Definitely.
The product needs to get fucking better.
Yes, the best that you can do. But like, also the process of something becoming like an art piece, becoming like commercially like viably successful, I feel like is very random and not in your control as an artist. The only thing, and this is right to your point, the only thing that's in your control is how good is it? Is it the best that you can do? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think if you focus on the back end of it, like it almost conversely makes the back end less fruitful. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah. That's really important. But it's kind of hard because it's like, and this is going to segue beautifully into the next question, but it's hard because you want your art to sustain you financially, right? You want to be able to support your life with the art that you make. But like, if you do that, is that kind of contradicting the whole essence of what you should be doing, right? Because if you're thinking about, oh, this art needs to make money so I can fucking eat, are you going to be making the best art?
Definitely not.
Right. Because it's like, it puts you in this weird state of pressure, I guess, you know?
Yeah, it does. So then how do you fix that?
Right.
You get a day job.
Right. And the next one is, should you get a day job to support your art?
Should you?
Yeah, this is a tough question.
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I think it's personal to everyone.
It is.
It's situational too.
Yeah.
All of this is. Everything is personal
Of
to
course,
you.
of course.
Like, I know that the four of us are privileged enough to have like a home that we can go back to and kind of just put our feet on the ground and start to focus on making the best art of our lives because we don't have rent to pay right now. That's a huge privilege that we all have. Some people
Yes.
don't have that. For the people who don't have that but still want to be making and prioritizing the best art of their life, I think it's really important that you get a day job. You know what I mean? As Silas Brown, our former professor, used to say, start losing sleep. You know, 9 to 5 and then 5 to 9. And then maybe even later than 9 o'clock at night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like,
But prioritize your health though. Like, you know what I mean? Because I think
Don't get 3 hours of sleep.
no, yeah, like do
Yeah.
do the most that you can do without negatively impacting your health and like the quality of your life. Because if you do let your health be the thing that you kind of disregard, then the work itself will also fall because of that. And
burn
that's
out.
definitely
you
true.
want to just
you
be
burn
careful
out,
of that.
man.
I'm sure.
that's definitely true. One thing I like to do to determine how far I can push my health is define the extremes, right? So I like to see like what's the most amount of work that I can do in a day before I literally am like passing out.
Yeah.
What's the least amount of work that I can do before I'm, you know, like feeling lazy and feeling bored.
Right. And somewhere in the middle of that is usually the most reliably
Definitely. Again, different for every person.
Exactly.
Different
It's
for every
very
person.
yeah, and so don't take someone's like, oh, I sleep this amount per night and I do this amount of work. Like that's not going to apply to you. Like 100% not.
That type of advice is better taken as drive to your craft.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
As like put the work in.
Yes.
Period. End of story. However that looks for you.
Yeah.
Just do the thing. You know what I mean?
100%.
Do the thing.
100%.
Do the fucking thing.
Do the fucking, thing. Huh?
So like the whole idea of getting a day job is to release the pressure of creating your art so that you basically are supporting yourself through other means. And then your art doesn't have to feed you, and then your art is just better because it's more free and you're not so concerned about the outcome of it. But for me, I think an issue that I've run into when I've chosen that route is that I just feel like I would rather spend all of my time getting better at my craft than spending half of my time on that. You know what I'm saying? So like
Definitely.
if there's a way for me to be able to sustain my career financially at this stage in the game through only art, that would be like so beautiful and ideal for me, I feel like.
Yeah, that's super interesting to me. So what do you feel like you're losing from putting in the time into the part-time jobs right now?
I think that I think I'm just losing the ability to continue to hone in on what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. And like I straight out of college, I was very, very, very careful about the jobs that I took, and everything is music related, right? Whether I'm playing live, whether I'm teaching music, whether I'm making music. But even so, and I feel like this happens to a lot of people who end up being very fruitful in their music careers, but they usually get wrapped up in like all of these adjacent avenues that aren't necessarily what they intended to do in their career. And they become these like jack of all trade type musicians who are literally doing fucking everything they can to get a paycheck. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's kind of what you want to be careful of, right? Because if you are going to support yourself through only your art, you actually might even end up spending less time on the art that you care about most, which is, I guess, the whole idea of getting a day job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Damn.
Sure.
No, I hear what you're saying. So just to bring it back to you for a sec.
Yeah.
I remember when we graduated college, you were like, yeah, dude, I'm trying to make it so that no matter what I'm doing to make money, it's all from music.
Yeah.
My income is from music, whether that's playing in a cover band, whether that's like, whatever it might be, production deals, anything, even if it's slightly off the path.
Yeah.
So it feels like as you're considering getting rid of your part-time jobs, that funnel is getting smaller.
Yes.
Like that tolerance for like things that you'd be able to do to make money is just getting a lot smaller.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
why do you think that is? What are you getting closer to in the things that you love doing?
I guess I'm getting closer to myself, if that makes sense. Like I'm understanding that like I am by far most fulfilled when I'm making art.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I love playing on stage and I love teaching too, but those two things don't necessarily align with, I think, the truest version of what fulfills me. You know what I mean?
100%.
And I feel like if there's an opportunity for me to sustain myself in the exact lane and avenue of what I want to do, I'm going to take that opportunity just
Right.
because I will be aligned with the thing that makes me most fulfilled. And I'll also be constantly improving my craft. That's kind of my mindset. I'm not saying that's right or wrong by any means. I'm just saying that's what's like what I've arrived to for like, that's my plan for 2024.
It
basically.
works for you. It works for you. And dude, like what you just highlighted too, I think it's the core part of artistry.
How so?
Closer to yourself.
Closeness
to yourself.
Right.
I mean, if that's not the answer to artistry, if that's not the answer to balance, personal health, I don't know what is. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do anything? Get closer to yourself.
Yeah.
And people are always talking about finding themselves, right?
Yeah. And it's
like,
so cliche, but it's really so important.
it's like a core thing. You know what I mean? Like we all experience it at least as artists. You know what I mean? I won't say every person experiences it, but like
No, I think everyone does. I think everyone should.
I don't know. I'm not people, bro.
No, yeah, of course.
You know,
Of
like
course.
people go to do those like Europe backpacking trips to like find themselves, and it's like it's super dope. But like that needs to be paid attention to. That yearning to understand what you need.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like maybe the reason you get into art is because you already have this innate like drive to discover who you are. And I think like when we make art, that's kind of us like channeling this part of ourselves that we're curious about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe it's not that artists do this, but it's maybe if you are more introspective, or not introspective, but if you have this like inner world that you're really curious about, and maybe that drives you to want to express it through art.
Absolutely.
more so than like somebody who isn't necessarily an artist.
Like an artist. Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally feel that. It's interesting. I feel like you can liken being an artist to an archaeologist, like super closely.
This is cool. I'll go into this. I actually haven't heard this before.
Just because like finding yourself and finding your deepest passions, your deepest fears, your biggest obstacles, it's more a subtractive process than an additive. I've seen, because
Oh my God, that's fucking brilliant, dude. I love that.
Facts.
You're not building. You're actually getting rid of the
Excess.
debris.
Yeah,
right?
that's it. That's
Yeah.
what you got to do.
I
And
love that.
once you dust off the right thing, you get closer to yourself. And
Sure.
and that's a good feeling. I feel like we've all experienced that. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Just honestly, joining Sunday dinner or making Sunday dinner was that for me. You know, I was dusting off the side of me that wanted to go play in a Broadway pit. That's a fun fact about me. I actually like was fully set on playing in the Wicked pit on Broadway. And then all of a sudden, you know, things change and I still like playing in pits, you know what I mean? I still do it here and there, but like it's not my main focus anymore. I think I found the self, guys.
Right.
Let's do it.
I think
How's
I
it
found
going?
the self.
Fuck yeah.
Vinny, how do you feel? You're being so quiet over there.
He's taking in.
I'm absorbing, man.
Yeah.
I'm a sponge. You know,
He's
SpongeBob.
over there just like,
You know, SquarePants. Yeah.
anyway. Yeah, subtractive processes.
Where'd you get that from?
My brain hole.
You
Nice.
just you made up that analogy.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
fucking
damn.
so fire, bro.
Thanks, man.
That's
Thanks.
sick.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. And I guess to relate that to me, like,
Yeah.
it's a subtractive process of like removing avenues or potential work opportunities that aren't aligning with the thing that I've discovered as my true self. You
That's
know what
beautiful.
I'm saying?
Yeah, you're getting rid of stuff out of your life right now.
Yeah.
Are you
And
not?
exactly right. And I'm removing things to get closer to what to build. It's right. You're removing to build, basically.
That's
Yeah,
it, baby.
I love that.
That's it.
I
That's
love
it.
that. Vin, I'm curious what you think about the day job thing, though.
The day job?
Yeah.
No, I think you should definitely have a day job if you need it. But it's definitely circumstantial. Because if you're a 16, 17-year-old kid and your like career is like moving, then you don't like need a day job. I would just like hone in on whatever you're doing.
Right.
Like Nick Mira, he produced for like Juice WRLD and other people. He was still in high school when he made that one song by Juice WRLD, his most famous hit.
Oh, the Dream
Something
song?
Dreams.
Yeah, Lucid Dreams.
Lucid Dreams.
Yeah.
And he was going all in. He didn't have he never had a day job in his life, and so I think there you don't need one. But when you're older and you have to pay rent and you have kids and more responsibilities, I think you definitely should have one.
Yeah,
it'll just it'll like help the burden of all your financials just help just out the window. So it just helps it a lot.
Yeah, and you
I
don't
think.
want that burden like resting on your art, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, this is interesting for sure. This is the one thing in the creative act, the Rick Rubin book, that I was not in alignment with. Like, I didn't agree with it because he says have a day job to support your art. And I feel like as we're talking about it now, I kind of am understanding what he's talking about for sure.
So in that way, are you starting to like agree with him?
I understand what he says,
Yeah.
and it doesn't align with me. If that makes sense. Like,
But you acknowledge it.
I
and you
agree with
understand.
him, but
Yeah.
it's not
for you.
It's not what I think is for me in this
That
current
makes
moment.
sense.
It doesn't feel like that's what's for me.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see
Hell
it,
yeah.
but it's good understanding where he's coming from. I kind of, in this next year, I think I know what to look out for. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Like,
sir.
I know to make sure that if I start to see that the financial burden is having a negative impact on the art that I'm making, maybe it's time to reconsider.
Yeah, you're prepared. You're not going into it blindly
Yeah.
and stupidly.
Exactly.
You crunch the numbers and did all the evaluations, so I think you're set.
That's it.
You know.
That's it.
Beautiful. All right, why don't we jump into this last question here? So it's more of a topic, actually, and it is telling your friends and family that you're pursuing music full time.
Or art, I guess, too. 'Cause
Yeah,
the whole thing's
art.
about getting paid for your art. Yeah.
Basically telling your family that you're going to be unemployed for a long period of time.
Yes.
but there's high potential, right? People are always saying this in the industry. People are like, yo, I go for walks around the block, right? And this guy around the block is like, oh, music's a hard industry. I'm like, oh, thanks, man.
How much experience does he have in the music industry, bro?
Also, like, thanks, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like I've been working my ass off for the past 27 hours. Ron.
Fucking Ron.
It's always Ron. Anyway, how do you guys feel about this?
Like, okay, I think the perception of how hard it is to make it as an artist is completely fucking skewed, because the average person doesn't really, like, their perception of a successful artist is a multi-millionaire A-list artist, because
Amen.
those are the only artists that they're aware of. But there are plenty of indie artists, there are plenty of, like, middle class artists that are living perfectly fine off of their art.
Middle class artists.
Yeah.
I love that.
No, but it's true,
Yeah,
right?
it's a real
like,
thing.
Not mid artists, middle class.
class. It's
Yeah.
not just like you're a billionaire or you're in poverty. Like, there's a huge industry of artists that are making $60,000 to $100,000 a year
Right.
off of their art, and
Right.
you're not aware of that. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And
True.
there are significantly more people in the corporate world in that space, in that range. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And like, we see that as a safer option, but I don't know. I just don't buy it. I feel like every industry is very simple. What you put in is what you get out. You know what I'm saying?
That's
And
definitely true. And the reason that it's different in the music industry is because what you're putting in is so much, and the potential for it to level out and reach an equilibrium is there, but it's
What
not.
do you mean potential for it to level out?
Well, like, for the potential for the input to equal the output in terms of how much work we're putting in. Because let's face it, like, we've probably put in our 10,000 hours, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
We've probably put in like enough time to be like, okay, you guys are probably doing well by now. Like, no, we're not doing well by now. That's not how this industry works.
Yeah.
But so in the music industry, the money doesn't come frequently. Sorry, it doesn't come consistently. It hopefully it comes frequently. Pause. You know what I mean? But when it does come, hopefully it's in higher amounts.
Well, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that's not always the
Amounts
case.
of cum.
No, but I feel like the layman's, they always
Oh my god, with this shit.
they always put a monetary value to, like, you working in the music field. But I remember speaking about this with you guys. My dad, we were at an event, a cigar event or something, and my dad was talking to this guy about me, and I was there, and he said something along the lines of, oh, he's an aspiring music producer or something like that.
Your dad said that?
Yeah. And I was like, and then I looked at it and I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, I meant to say he is a music producer. I'm like, yeah, I am a full-time like music producer.
Yeah.
And he's like, once the Shkodok comes in, then then we'll talk. I was like, what does that have to do with like anything? Like, I'm doing this every single day.
Right.
We
treat this like a full-time job.
Yeah. I'm not making fucking, 6 figures a year doing it, but I guess like some people just hold that monetary value to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
It does kind of suck.
Yeah.
It's also, it's not right or wrong, because some people really do perceive that like there's no legitimacy until there's money.
Yeah, true.
But I think that there's so much legitimacy in craft, and in hours up front that you put in.
Definitely.
I mean, let's be real here. Like, to just go from being like a college graduate, like, artist, and now like to an A-list artist, it's not gonna happen. Like, it's not just gonna happen like boom, like that.
No.
Maybe to like 0.001% of people, but we gotta grow it over time,
and you have to work.
You gotta work.
That's it,
man.
bro. And like, it's just that simple. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you work hard at something, you will see that come to fruition. And it's like, dude, you don't start a corporate job as the fucking CEO.
True.
You start as some bullshit dude in the mailroom, and you fucking work your way up. And like, we're in the mailroom right now of our artist careers, but like, nobody shits on you for being in the mailroom of a fucking corporate company.
Oh, you're gonna work your way up the ladder. Yeah, well, we're doing that right now. It's just different.
Being an A-list artist is like being a CEO. Like, the CEOs in the business world are the absolute tiny percentage minority, and been in it the longest and worked the hardest and are the best at what they do for that reason. And that's the same thing in the art world. And and also I think there's more money in the art world than people really understand.
Yeah,
like
this industry has the biggest ceiling, like out of anything.
No, but I'm saying even in the middle, the middle class, like dude, every bit of media that you consume on a daily basis, there was some sort of art had to be created to ingest that media, right? Yeah. Like a commercial, you have a graphic designer, you have an entire film crew, you have music, right? And budgets of actors, right? Budgets upward of $100,000, and like you might not know they're not household names, the people who made that, but they're all artists, and they all got paid to do that and are making great money doing that. You know what I mean?
Yep. 100%. Art is everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's literally so embedded in our society, and the only like art that the average person perceives is the top of the line shit, but they don't realize that they're constantly being exposed to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to those same people, I think that there's this misconception that artists are generally more lazy. And,
yeah, right. That's so fucking dumb.
What's interesting about that is that 2 weeks ago, I started logging my hours, right? Just for fun, right? Since we started meeting every morning, right?
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, I have it on my computer. It's just a little timer thing. And I literally, you know how many hours I put in?
From what?
For a week. 7 days.
70?
67 days.
70 hours.
70 hours?
Oh, that's you guys?
Yeah,
more.
60, 70?
60.
60.
Yeah. 60 hours a week.
That's crazy.
So I have 2 notebooks on my desk. One of them is to literally organize the crazy thoughts in my brain for Sunday dinner and for myself. And then the other one is for writing songs, right? I like to keep those separate as much as I can.
Do the same too, yeah.
That's not lazy.
60 hours a week is considerably more than anybody else is working for the most part.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like that's 10 hours on average.
That's it. That's not lazy.
I mean, it's like 9 hours on average or whatever, but like,
right.
That's a lot of fucking time. And like, dude, I think
7 days too. It's not 5 days.
Yeah, right. No, it's a 7-day job. Yeah. It's a 7-day job. And I teach lessons on Sunday mornings. And I know that you guys are literally doing the same thing, if not more than that.
It's not uncommon for me to work a 12-hour day. That's like most of my days, I would say, are 12-hour days. But like, I'm not making an hourly like amount of money for each 12 of those hours. You know what I'm saying? So then it feels like or people might perceive it being a waste of time, but it's like not even close. This is a great quote. You build your life in the 9 to 5, and you build your empire in the 5 to 9. You know what I mean?
I see that. I definitely see that.
Like,
or you just cut out the 9 to 5.
No, I know. But I'm saying, like, if somebody wanted to work a 9 to 5 and then start their own business, right? Or what we're doing, our own business is basically our art. Like, you're gonna fund your life, your food, your car payment, your mortgage on your salary, but you're gonna build your legacy and your empire in the time that you're not at your job, and your business might be the thing that really makes you extremely wealthy at the end of the day.
Right.
So yeah, artists to me work the hardest out of anyone I know, and I think the reason is not because we're like outworking people, but it's because we genuinely love what we do, and we work most of the time, I would say, by choice. Like, I think this is a pretty mindful choice of us to make, to basically be like, my financial security is going to be shit so that I can pursue what I love to do.
That's a big leap to take.
It is, but I think,
especially in your 20s.
Right. Exactly. But I think we take that leap because we love what we do so much, you know? And
that's it.
And like those 12 hours of work feel like fucking nothing because we're doing what we love for every single second of that.
Straight up, bro.
You know?
Straight up. Yeah. No, taking a look at my hours has been actually crazy because I'll look at it and it says that I've been on my computer for 3 hours. And then the next time I look at it, it'll say 9 hours. And I'm like, that didn't feel like 6 hours ago.
So
the last time that I looked.
Do you like almost like clock in, clock out? Like you have like a timer on your computer?
No.
How do you do it?
It's literally just like, it's a screen time thing. You know what I mean? So it's just from the second that I open up my laptop, it just starts tracking the amount of time that I'm on there.
So if you go have lunch, do you like close it?
Yeah. I sleep that joint.
I see.
Yeah.
Cool. I might start doing that actually. I really like that idea.
It's not been like super positive or super negative. It's like somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
You know? It's just information.
It's information. Yeah. It can be reaffirming if you feel like you're not doing enough, because I feel like that's always something that you might run into as an artist. It's like, oh, I'm not doing enough, but it's like there's just so much to do. You know what I mean? And like sometimes tangible success is very rare in what we do. Like how many times have you spent 12 hours on a song and then like erased everything that you did in those 12 hours?
Yesterday, actually.
Yeah. Like, and that feels like you haven't really like actually done anything productive, but really you did.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? You realize
Oh,
that
yeah.
every single option you tried in those 12 hours is not what you did. You're back to the drawing board, but you know that much more about the work
Yes.
because you spent that 12 hours, right?
Absolutely.
It's very
bro.
hard to see that though.
Yeah, it's
It
hard.
is. It is. But yo, yesterday, quick story to
Yeah.
tell. Me and Frank are in the studio, right? Well, we're here, right? The studio.
The studio.
And basically, he's like re-recording vocals over these tracks that we recorded in the studio,
Mhm.
like 3-4 weeks ago. And all of a sudden, like we're trying different microphones and we're seeing what works and we're trying to get the sound and he's trying to replicate some sort of energy on the song. And then we get probably 4 hours into it. And then by the end of the session, we just like A/B the new vocals with the vocals that we recorded
Yep.
in the session, right? Mind you, this is 3-4 hours of meticulous work.
Yeah.
This is not like, okay, record, all right, next section, record. This is like, let's do 4 full takes of the entire song, and then let's go through basically every sentence, make sure it's perfectly pocketed, make sure that the S's aren't too crazy. We did an insane amount of meticulous work on the new vocals just to delete them, right? They're gone now. They're not even gonna be in the mix.
It's insane.
Wow.
But like, you gotta find those little spots that won't be the final product before you find what will be the
Yes,
final
and sometimes
product.
it takes a lot of no's to figure out what the yes is. Even if you
Yeah.
already arrived at the yes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's just the nature of art. It's very fickle, and that's why it's very hard to kind of take it and place it in the standard of productivity or the standard of work that most people live on
For real.
on their day-to-day basis. Is like, I guess a good day in a coffee shop is how many coffees did I sell? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like a good day in music or art might not be how many things did I make or how far along did I get in this, you know?
I feel like it's, did I get closer to something or not in the music industry?
Right. Did I get
At least
closer?
personally.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
And closer, like you said before, is not necessarily always additive. Sometimes it's subtractive, right?
Right.
Getting closer to the essence of the piece sometimes requires taking things away from it, just like getting closer to the essence of yourself requires removing
Absolutely.
aspects of your experience
Woo.
or, full circle.
Crazy.
Absolutely.
that.
And we are in such an age for that today. We like now more than ever.
Uh-huh.
Now more than ever,
Oh,
it's
right.
time for like the indie artist, the indie producer to literally use their resources until they run out.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Not a record label advance, nothing like that. I'm talking your interface, your microphone, your laptop, your speakers, your headphones, and a MIDI keyboard. Use those things to the very extent,
Mm.
because the only thing that's limiting you is yourself. You know what
That's
I mean?
so true, dude. That's
Just-
so true.
Just run with it.
Yeah.
This is turning into a motivational speech.
No, but I feel like there's a level of should you pursue art full time, which is the episode that requires a little bit of motivation. I feel like, you know what I mean, because it's a hard decision to make.
Yeah.
You know, but it's also the easiest decision I've ever had to make. Like this is one of the only decisions in my entire life that I have literally never questioned one time.
Facts.
Like I've never questioned it because it just always was. It felt right. I've always been like, there's fear of the future. There's fear of like how difficult it's gonna be, but that doesn't make me doubt it or regret it. It just like if anything reinforces it. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
bro.
And that's because we love what we do. And like it doesn't have to be art, but just fucking love what you do, bro. Like straight up.
Love what you do.
That's the most important thing. Would you I always come back to this. Would you rather have wealth of fulfillment or just financial wealth?
Wealth of fulfillment.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
make the best music of your entire life and
Yeah.
be like
Happy.
just scraping by,
Yeah.
or just hate your job.
I mean, bro,
but
let me
live
just,
in a great
let
house.
me just give you like a very like derivative opinion, you know?
Yeah.
Like we're on this earth for such a short amount of time
Sure.
that it's like if you aren't part of a story or part of an adventure,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Can we just be real here?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Not to feed the drama. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like feed what fulfills you.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Facts.
Yes. And that can be anything.
Yeah, do it for the plot.
Do it for the plot.
Do it for the plot.
Is there anything else?
Nah, that's it.
I'm a Pisces. I'm in my element.
Hey, shout out Nerve.
Shout out Nerve.
We gotta have him on the. We're gonna have him on the show
100%.
next week? Question mark.
Yeah,
He's got to
let's-
sign a contract for me. Motherfucker.
All right, we'll cut this out.
No, don't cut this out.
Oh,
Nerve, sign that goddamn
No, if-
contract.
Nerve.
you gotta
We're
let
trying
him
to
know.
get you
if-
money, bro,
Yeah, facts.
Wait for what?
for the sink.
Oh,
Oh,
So-
right.
yeah, we're
right,
trying to get
right.
you beans, guy.
Yeah.
We're trying
Come
to
on.
get you pintos. You know, pinto beans.
That's what I'm
All
saying.
right, bud.
This has been At the Dinner Table. If you're on the fence about going artist full time,
Do it.
just fucking do it.
Just fucking do it.
Only if you love it enough, though, which
Yeah.
I'm sure you do if you're on the fence about it.
Facts.
Peace out.
Peace.
Peace.